Welcome back to That's Church. I'm Emily Call here with my sister Ashley Sanders. Before we dive into today's episode, we want to remind you about our upcoming Divine Feminine and Women Empowerment event on National Women's Day, March 8th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It will be incredible. We will be focusing on celebrating the divine feminine and uplifting women through shared experiences, art, and community. Get your tickets now at tinyurl.com/empower2025. Now, for today's conversation, we're so excited to welcome Kristy Lawson. Kristy grew up Lutheran in Utah, which meant navigating life as part of the religious minority in a place where the LDS Church is the domain faith. We get into what it was like for her growing up and how it shaped her faith and perspective. Kristy is also legally blind, and we have an incredible discussion about her experiences, both the challenges and the ways it has shaped her outlook on life. We talk about resilience, adapting to the world in her own way, and even how her work as a massage therapist has been influenced by her heightened sense of touch. It's such an inspiring and eye-opening conversation, and we can't wait for you to hear it. Let's get started. Thank you so much, Kristy, for coming on to our podcast. I have known Kristy for we figured it out the other day. Was it 5 years, 6
At
years,
least,
4 years?
Like 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Yeah. So she's actually my massage therapist, and she's incredible. And I would totally recommend her if you live in Idaho. She's moving to Idaho. I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
Oh, I know. I'm sad and excited all at the same time.
I'm so excited for your next adventure. I think it's going to be amazing, and I think it's the right next step for sure for you.
It really feels like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad. But yeah, if you're in Idaho, where are you in Idaho? Boise?
I'll be in Pocatello.
Pocatello. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's like
so
2.5 hours from here.
Okay. Okay. So if any of our listeners need an amazing massage therapist, she is in Idaho. She's absolutely incredible. But during that time, those 5 or 6 years, we've really gotten to know each other very well. And so we've been so excited to interview you because I know you inside and out, I feel like, even though we don't spend time together.
Pretty well. I mean, we get into some deep conversations, right? Like, I think massage therapy is therapy, and we kind of get into that on the table sometimes. So you do get to know people so well.
Totally. I always tell people, you're not only my massage therapist, you're like my mind therapist as well.
Yes, she's told me that many times.
It's one of the things that I love about my job. It's really you're helping people on a different level. And you get a lot of life experience that way too.
Totally.
Sure.
And you're so good with people, and you have such a great energy, and that just shines through. And I love that you get to know so many people, and you're so open to asking questions and being open to different ideas and opinions and perspectives. And we definitely have gotten into some deep conversations, even though we don't spend time outside of in real life. I feel like you're totally my friend, and we know each other super well, and you're my therapist. So
I feel the same way. Oh, I love you.
Me too. I love you too. Yes, I love you so much, platonically.
Glad you clarified.
Right, yeah.
I was thinking, no.
That's so cute.
Totally.
I mean, I do touch you all over your body. We can totally take all of this out.
It's very intimate. We have a very intimate relationship.
We got to leave it in. You do. That's so true.
If you can't joke about being a massage therapist and what you do, you're not having fun with it. Okay, that's
yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So because of that, though, I feel like I can talk to you and ask you questions more than I can questions that I wouldn't ask everyone. I feel like I can ask you, and we've already talked about, we've talked about everything under the sun. So, so this is a great opportunity for you to tell us what it's like to be a non-Mormon member. A non-member
of the Mormon religion.
Yes. Here in Utah, because you grew up in Utah, and we can do some really weird things. So I enjoy hearing kind of your perspective of what that's like. And so could you start by sharing a little bit about it, or a little bit with us about your upbringing as a Lutheran in Utah, and kind of how that shaped your early experiences and beliefs?
Sure. So we didn't go to church all the time. When we did go to church, I would do the whole Sunday school thing, and it's a little bit different. They just have an hour service, right? So it's a lot shorter than what you guys used to do, especially, right? Like where it was like a 3 hour, like it was almost a full morning or a full afternoon that you guys were in church. We were in church for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And so we would go to Sunday school. My mom would go to the chapel and listen to the service. And we would just kind of meet up at the end or whatever, and we would go with our friends, and I made some really good friends and had some really good experiences. Like we did like a week-long camp that was just like all about the Bible. It was I think it was called Bible Camp. And we would go there each evening, and we would learn a different lesson, and we would do different activities and stuff. And I always looked forward to that in the summer. It was just like a cute little thing that we did. And then when the Olympics were here, they were all kinds of involved in like the Olympics, and they hosted all kinds of things, and I was part of that. But so there was a good community, but it was in Sandy. And we lived in West Valley. So it's like the community that was there was not around us. We only got that community when we went to church or church activities. So it was a lot different with, I noticed like my friends, all of their people that they went to church with, they also lived in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, all of those things. It was just a different type of community, a closer, like they lived close. And so it was different that way, but I definitely established, like a faith in God, a love for God, and a love for Christ, and love for the Holy Spirit, and all of that. So I definitely like learned a lot about different things. I noticed differences here and there, you know what I mean? But as a kid, you're just like, oh, whatever, just kind of, this is my life and that is yours. And it made sense to me that they were different, right? So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I don't really, like I said, we didn't spend a ton of time there. Like we even still though go to this potato bar that they host every year, and it's like a potato bar and auction, and you pay like $6 for your potato, and they give you like this huge baked potato and all this stuff. And then they have a little auction that all the proceeds go to the church. And my family, like me and my husband and my 2 kids, try to go to that every year still, just because I don't know. I just grew up there and I love them, and it's fun. We see like all my grandma's friends that are like in their 80s and their 90s now, and they still remember me and they know me, and they're just so sweet and friendly. I had a really good experience in that church. Like everybody was accepting. Nobody really was too harshly judgmental. Not that I ever experienced anyway, but yeah, just kind of a little community within a bunch of communities.
Oh, that's so cool. Really cool that you go and support still too. Like what a fun little tradition for your family.
Yeah, it is fun. And the boys love it. Like my kids are like, we get to buy something. Like we get to put our names down because they have like a silent auction and stuff. And they just love it. It's fun. I remember being a kid and loving it. And so it's nice to share it with them. And my grandma is still like really, really active with that church too. She's there every week. Her mom actually created a group called Women of Worship, and it's women from a bunch of different religions. I don't know what religions, but they're coming together for communities. They're coming together to help people and through places of worship do some good for the communities that those places of worship are in. And so they've done a lot of good. And so she's still really, really active in that community, and she's always just loved it so much, and it kind of just like it's always been good for her. She lost her husband. I can't remember how old she was, in her late 50s or early 60s, and so the church community had become her family, right? Like beyond us, and it was really supportive for her. So it's just, I don't know, I just feel like they're good people there, and just good community, and they love each other, and they really have always taken good care of everybody in it. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, that is so wonderful to hear. Yeah.
I think we talked about this before, the connection, but I'm wondering, I think maybe you went to the same church that my cousin goes to now.
Oh,
her
maybe.
And her wife go to do you remember what it's called?
Good Shepherd Lutheran. It's off of like 86 South and 9th East, I think.
No way.
Yes.
I think it's the same one.
We've been there several times, and I think we've talked about this before, but it's been a long time.
That is amazing.
And I forgot about it. But
I did too.
That's totally, we my husband and my kids used to go there every every Christmas Eve with our kids because my cousin's kids are in the program, like the Christmas Eve program.
And how you sing Silent Night with the candles and all that at the very end. I love it.
Yes, we love it. So that's so cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I had totally forgotten about that connection.
I did too.
That's great. It's a beautiful church, and the people were lovely and inviting, and we've really felt comfortable and welcome there every time that we've gone.
That's nice to hear from somebody who didn't grow up there, right? Like it's like kind of like what we're doing here, but
right.
All my people were good to you.
Yes, totally. Yes. I love that, and so you still believe in Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel like you worship now as an adult and with your kids?
I think now as an adult and with or without, like within myself, like I just try and teach my kids that, you know, if you mess up or if you do something, you can ask for forgiveness. And I teach them that Christ is the reason that we are forgiven. And I just teach them to talk to God, like just talk to him. Just if you are wondering about something or if you have a question or a concern, just like put out that question or just talk to him and just say, hey, God, I'm kind of feeling sad today, and I just want you to show me the light, and we just kind of talk about that. When we talk about the Holy Spirit, we talk about the Spirit within us, right? That is connected directly to the Holy Spirit in my eyes, and we just talk about like how that can guide us and that can prompt us and that can tell us what is right or wrong, especially like with this move coming up. I just try and let them know, guys, I just feel like I'm being told I'm moved to move to Idaho, and I just feel like it's going to be really good for our family and good for us, and I feel like God is telling me that it's all going to be okay. And so just try and let them know that like I talk to God every day and that they can too. They can always have somebody to turn to in him, and they can always be forgiven for their mistakes and their, you know, transgressions or whatever, through Christ, and you can be guided through the Holy Spirit. So that's kind of where I go with it now. That's how I worship. I mean, sometimes I write, sometimes I don't know, just like sitting with nature, I feel really close to God too. It's just peaceful and quiet, and so I like to I don't get a chance very often, but like I'll just go in the backyard and sit in the sun with my feet in the grass or whatever, you know. And I feel like all the energy work I do, I feel like the energy that flows through us is directly connected to God too. So I feel like a lot of the work that I do, I ask God to protect me from others' negative energy or other negative things. And I ask God to guide me, and I just ask for guidance. Like I think I do it subconsciously, and I kind of just go to where I need to go. So, I mean, he's a huge, huge part of my life, but not everybody knows that about me, right? Like, I don't really put that out there, I guess is what I mean. I was going to say in your face, so that sounded kind of rude.
No, that's beautiful. I love that. And I think that's common. I think it's common for people to kind of have an individual personal spirituality and connection to God and not really talk about it to others.
Honestly, I want to kind of make it more well known, right? Like I've openly and more freely talked about it in the last few years than I ever did before, because I feel like it helps us to establish what we really truly do believe, right? Like when you say it out loud and you hear yourself say it, you can go, oh, I don't know if I really believe that, or oh yes, that really resonates.
Definitely. We were interviewing a guest a little while ago, a couple months ago, I think, and he was saying this has really, like after the interview, he said, this has really helped my spirit and my testimony to grow. And he was part of a different religion than us. And I thought, I really am grateful. Actually, we do fast and testimony meetings once a month. And that in that fast and testimony meeting, any member can get up and share their testimony or their feelings about Christ. And that's supposed to be the focus anyway. Yeah. It doesn't always happen, but,
right.
But I think there really is something about that, like just saying what you believe and what you think. And I teach gospel doctrine. I talk about it on this podcast all the time, but it's a big part of my life. And I think just like studying the scriptures and studying the things that I believe and then saying them to people really solidifies, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I believe. And this is where I'm going. And this is, you know what I mean? Like, I think there is definitely something about that. So that's awesome. That's
Right.
great
And
that you're
also,
trying to.
I think that it just occurred to me as you were talking, I was like, honestly, I wonder if for a little while I was a little bit scared to speak my truth and speak what I believed. I just kind of kept it quiet. People would assume that I was LDS. And like, I wonder if I just let them, this sounds, I don't want to sound rude, but let them believe it so that it didn't change any of their views until they got to know me, right? And then I would say like, oh yeah, I'm not LDS, but then I would be able to talk about my beliefs and they already knew I was a good person. So it's kind of like, don't let the fact that I'm not the same religion be a deterrent for them to feel like they couldn't talk to me or anything like that. I think that is a little bit of a real thing. I'm sorry, that was kind of like way off topic,
For
but
sure.
I just,
No, I
that's
totally
exactly
agree.
what we
I
want
wonder
to
if that's
hear.
right. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
And it's not because I felt like I would be, I mean, I think I do that anyways, right? And whether someone is LDS or whether they're not, I just want them to know me for me before they know the deeper parts of me and my beliefs and my parts that I don't show to the public. Like I always try and put on my best face, right? That's kind of what you do. But
Yeah, totally. And I think we all do that to some extent.
uh-huh.
I've had that the opposite direction where someone didn't assume I was Mormon and I didn't say anything. I just was like, oh, you can, you know what I mean? Like you can assume what you want. But I do think that that's very interesting to hear because I think we also all know a member that might judge someone based off of something as silly as that. So it is unfortunate that we sometimes as human beings just, give up on people sometimes without even really knowing people. And so that is the
kind of
barriers
like
we're trying to break.
Yeah, unfair prejudgments, right? And
Yes.
I try, I mean, we all do it. Every single one of us has some kind of unfair prejudgment that we don't know that person, but we judge them harshly anyways. I think that's human.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I think it's really good to try not to, right? And just let people know you for you. And like I feel like a long time ago they said you don't discuss politics or religion or money in mixed company, right? And I think that it's just good manners not to at first until you really let the person get to know the true you, like know you a little bit better. I just feel like, I mean, why not? It's not like we're hiding who we are. It's just we're not throwing it in people's faces, I guess. I guess that's how I feel when I don't see something right off the bat. It's like I just don't want to throw it in their face that, oh, I'm not Mormon. Like, who cares, right? Like,
right.
Who cares?
Yes. Like, why is it a thing that we have to focus on so much when it's just such a small piece of who we are in general?
Yeah.
I heard a quote one time. It was be curious, not judgmental, and it's stuck with me because in those moments when I want to judge, I have to think, well, why would they be doing that? I want to get curious instead. So
I love that.
And I think a lot of people like they gravitate to people they can connect to. And so maybe, letting them think you're LDS, like they're going to be more open to connecting with you initially, But I think too, within our church, there is kind of an emphasis in if this person is LDS, then they are a good person. Like for some reason, we are in this kind of cultural bubble and we don't see outside of that all the time. We don't realize that, oh, there are good, ethical people in all realms of beliefs, even if it's not within a religious system. Like people can be really good people no matter what. And I think that sometimes we can be a little bit closed-minded to that. And so I don't blame you for kind of not wanting to show your cards at first,
right.
And that's
you just put your
really
best face forward, right? Like that's kind of, like I said, I just feel like, and that's kind of almost like the key to success with people is that you give them the best that you have, your best self, but you don't go too deep because nobody is really that interested when they first meet somebody in like who you are on your deepest level, right? Like that comes with time. I think that's really normal.
Yeah.
But I've had the opposite too, where people thought I was LDS because they thought that I was a good person and a wholesome person and had good morals and stuff, that where they thought that I was LDS, and I just looked at them and said, no, I'm not actually. So
and
it just depends.
I remember you telling me that, and I think maybe it had happened and you shortly after told me about it, or maybe I asked you like if you had anyone say weird things or, being here in Utah, and I think you were a little taken back. Like it was kind of like
shocking. Like, no, I'm actually not. And she was too. She was like, wait, you're not? Like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
And to her, I think it was a compliment. But to you were like, oh, did you? Okay.
I really did. I kind of laughed. I kind of had to be like, oh, I have to be LDS to be a good person. But I did take it as a compliment. Like, even though I was like, okay.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad.
And maybe that's a lesson to her that, like, hey, not all good people are LDS.
Yeah. And I hope that, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think that was more when you talked to me and you were a little bit like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I think it was more of like why would you think I'm LDS?
Why would they be? Why would they have to be synonymous, right?
Right. Like, anybody can be a good person and not be part of your religion. Yeah.
Definitely.
But I also think like there also is kind of like mannerisms of people that are LDS and like certain ways. I actually just read this article that said, because Ash and I have talked about like going to the airport, we can like totally pick out a different LDS, all the LDS people there. And also I've been somewhere else and been like, I can pick out all the Utah people and the ones that are LDS and the ones that are not. I think it's
huge
becoming
difference in that culture, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's becoming less so because people are becoming a little bit more using their agency a little bit more, and like Ashley has tattoos and wears sleeveless and like, and so maybe they wouldn't know she's LDS, but we went to a synagogue and they all picked us out like first thing. They're like, you guys are LDS. We're like, really?
You're like, how did you know?
Not to stand out. Like
dang.
That's
totally
the problem. You were trying
personally
not to, so you totally did, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like when I go. Well, I don't know, and maybe people wouldn't know if I went to, and I've been to an LDS church before, but if I go to one now, maybe people would not know. But I don't know. It's kind of funny, like. You can blend in if you've lived with it your whole life, but if you've never lived with people from that, maybe it's harder to.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. So, yeah, I think there's just a feeling or mannerisms but this article I read talked about how a lot of LDS people marry other LDS people. And so the like it's a small pool of people.
Right.
So we actually, our faces actually look alike. And I was like, that, and then all the polygamy in our history, like,
well, and they say
scary.
Utah is full of beautiful people, but we do all kind of resemble each other a little bit, don't we?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
We're all cousins.
I know.
Oh, icky.
It's a little weird,
man,
but anyway,
crazy. Super
super interesting because I always thought it was just like the clothes and the mannerism, but no, it's like we actually
it's like something within you, right? It's ingrained in you.
Yeah,
Yes,
and genetics and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
So as a kid, did you ever feel like being in kind of the minority in your faith? And because I think anywhere else, and maybe minus the South, but other places in the world, it may not matter as much. But I feel like in Utah, the majority is so prevalent and again, becoming less so, I think. But did you at that time feel different or feel like not included as a kid?
I'm just kind of searching my memory banks here. I don't really think so. There's nothing that really stands out to me where I was like, oh, I'm not LDS, so I can't play with you. I've heard stories like that.
Oh, good.
I mean, the only thing that really, like, differences in how people live their life. Like, I had a friend who was not allowed to listen to anything but, like, classical or Christian-based music. And, like, they literally couldn't listen to, like, 97.1 or whatever, they couldn't listen to any pop or rock or anything like that. They just weren't allowed to. And I thought, oh, that's so weird. Why would they restrict that to that level? And I mean, as a parent now and knowing what I know about the faith and like trying to be as pure as possible, I see why they would have restricted that. But I just thought it was so strange when I was young. I was like, I never hear anything but classical or like faith-based music here, like.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I've never heard that either.
Yeah, some parents are more strict than others, for sure. Yeah,
and
an
I
extreme.
Think this particular family was like that, but it was really interesting. They were really strict. Like with certain things, but they never stopped their kids from doing anything, any activities they wanted to do or whatever. Like they were really open and wanted their kids to be in the world and around different kinds of people. And they always welcomed me and my brother like over to their house for dinner, for whatever. Like they were so kind to us. Like they really just seemed like honest to goodness, kind, good people, like just God loving and Christ like people.
That's good.
That's
Oh, I
awesome.
love
I'm
that.
glad there wasn't any super negative experiences. And
Yeah.
I do think I did know people, one of my friends couldn't watch anything except PG movies, even into her teens. And I was like, this is a little bit much. I mean, it's a very Mormon thing to not watch rated R movies. At least it was when we were growing up. I think that's also changed now. But like PG, I'm like,
Yeah, I remember the movie Titan AE came out and it was a cartoon movie, but it was rated PG and several of my friends were not allowed to watch it. We were like 11 or 12, I think, when it came out, and several of my friends couldn't watch it because it was a PG movie. And I'm like, wait, what? Like it just kind of like, and whatever, people can choose to do what they want with their lives and raise their kids how they want, right? That's how I always felt. I was just like, well, if you can't, we'll watch some Disney movie. That's fine. You know, it is what it is. I don't care. I'm easy.
Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned to me kind of recently something about Sunday also, that was a little bit difficult for you.
Oh yeah, it was just like a noticeable difference where some of my friends were not allowed to play on Sunday because it was Sunday, it was the Sabbath. They wanted to keep their family as a whole unit, which I have a friend that's like that now, and she says to me, if our whole family comes over to your house and does something, then that's fine because we're still together as a family. But if we're not just going to let our kids go and play because we want them home with us. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. I see that. And it's I mean, good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really affect me in any way, right? So I'm just like, but I noticed the difference and I thought it was kind of weird. When I was a kid, I'm like, okay, that's, okay, why can't you play on Sundays? And I would just ask them. I would be like, well, why can't you play on Sundays? Because my parents want us home on the day that we go to church. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I've always been curious. I've always been more curious than judgmental. I see no point in judging how somebody else lives their life as long as it doesn't affect mine in a negative way, then let them be.
Yeah, you're so good about that. You mentioned that actually your vision was a little bit more of a struggle in that way with kids. Not that they treated you differently necessarily,
they did.
and maybe they did, okay, but also that you weren't able to do certain things with them, which was a struggle. Can you explain that a little bit?
I mean, there was a lot. I'm very, very, very. I can do almost anything. I literally can do almost anything that anybody else can, but sports are really hard. So like PE was really hard. I remember one time where a teacher actually made me play basketball. And I told him, like, I can't play basketball. I can't see well enough. And he's like, well, you're just going to play. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to play, got hit in the face with the basketball, of course, right? And as I'm crying, I'm yelling at him, I told you this is why Dad can't play. I really can't see it. And so like that was really embarrassing. Like I remember just feeling so embarrassed that he even made me try that. And then I got hit and hurt and I was crying and I was even more embarrassed. I was so angry with him. But I think that he just saw me as like somebody who shouldn't be restrained in any way, or maybe he was just a jerk. I don't know. But I just I was like, but there was a lot of like struggle with just kids being rude just because I was blind, right? Like calling me awful, awful names, just being just cruel. They were just not nice sometimes, and I had my friends who would stick up for me, and I had my friends that would even get in fights for me if somebody said something. And then I had the kids that would just be relentlessly mean. There was a girl who like I went to elementary with, I was in dance classes with, and then we went to high school together, and she was awful to me the whole time, and it was just because I couldn't see as well. Like she had no other reason, but it was more of that. It's more of just like, just cruel little, like kids are mean, right? They just are. Anything that's different or anything that makes you stand out in any way, they're just going to pick you apart and just pick at you. But I don't know, if you just deal with it and you just go, whatever, it doesn't matter what they say. In the end, it doesn't matter. It usually didn't even get to me. It usually didn't change the way I felt about myself or anything like that. But I will say I do get frustrated when there is something that I have a hard time doing. Like I get really upset. Like sometimes just the fact of not being able to drive is very upsetting. Like, I'm like, gosh, if I could just go to the grocery store and get medicine for my family or whatever, things like that. But it's frustrating, and I get kind of down on myself in those few moments. But for the most part, it's just like, it doesn't matter what people say. I know what I can do. I know how I feel. And I know, I just know that I'm going to be okay. Like, I guess that's it.
And you're amazing, and you've accomplished so much, and you definitely don't let that get in your way in any way. Like, driving is really, I tried to ask the question about that kind of, and I'm like, but the only thing in her way is that she can't drive. Like,
yeah,
other
much.
than that, you do everything the same. And you're also a very ambitious, energetic, successful person in general. So,
well, and like we were talking the other day, like, I like challenges. I don't like to be bored or stagnant. I want to keep my life moving forward and kind of grab it by the horns and take it for all it's worth.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so inspiring. I can feel that. I don't even know you, and I can feel that strength in you, and it's inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know how to be any other way. I think that's like, I'm you're embarrassing me. No, no, thank you.
Just own it. You just own it.
Yeah. And I'm glad you didn't let those things get you down, because it is harder when you're a kid. As an adult, we can hear something negative about ourselves or whatever, and we can shove it out of our heads easier, but it's harder to do when you're a kid. And so I think that is very impressive. I always tell my kids, like, if anything is bothering you, you can always talk to me about it, because I do think there's that tendency too to kind of shut down. And it sounds like you just didn't let that happen. And again, that's so inspiring.
And that's like support, right? That was my support. My parents were always really supportive. Like, my mom kind of took the reins and learned Braille because she knew I was going to be learning Braille, and she went to like classes that kind of showed. I don't know if my dad, honestly, my dad might have been there too, but I'm not really sure. He was in and out of the country all the time. He was in the military, so it's not that he wasn't supportive or wouldn't have done these things. I just don't know if he did or not, right? Like, I don't want to throw him under the bus, is all I'm saying. So she went and learned all she could learn about my vision and what she could do to help me, and even went to like classes that showed different kinds of perspectives of different types of vision with like different kinds of goggles and things like that. And she was taught how to use a cane just kind of briefly. And I mean, she really dove into it, and she really was like, it's going to be hard for you, but it's going to be okay. You just cannot let these kids bug you. And like, there was one girl who would follow me around. Like, I remember in daycare, she would call me blind girl, follow me around. Oh, blind girl, you're blind. Like, it's just stupid stuff that I dealt with. But it was getting under my skin. I'm like, look, at school, I expect this, but at daycare, what the heck, right? So she told me to turn around and tell that girl that I didn't have to see her to smell her coming, and I did, and she never bugged me again.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So, that is awesome.
Has a lot. It's helped me a lot. Excuse me, smart aleck. Being a smart aleck has helped me a lot, and just taking things lightly and kind of seeing the humor in like dumb, dark, terrible situations. Like, I just try and keep a positive attitude and be like, well, it could have been worse, So,
and you really are one of the most positive people that I know, for sure.
I have to be, Emily. I do. I have to be. There's no other choice.
Yeah. And your mom, you've told me that before, that your mom was such an advocate of you growing up and like didn't allow you to even believe that there wasn't anything that you couldn't do.
Yeah, for the most part. There was some times where she's like, yeah, I don't want you doing that. And I'm like, why? I'm like, why? And she's like, because you can't see well, okay? Like, she's like, you're going to get killed doing this. Don't do that. So, but she had to. She has to protect me too,
Right. It sounds like she was a driving force, though, in giving you, passing down that bravery and strength, Yeah. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it just continues, like, as I grow, like, marrying Danny, like, that man does not even see that I'm blind, right? Like, he loves me. For me, it has nothing to do with my vision, and honestly, that's what I need. And he's always so supportive, but he'll, like, without even thinking about it, read subtitles for me or whatever, just do little things to help me out and not even make a big deal about it. And my sister, my brother, I mean, it's all like my best friend. I just have this really great support system, and I think without that, I wouldn't do so well. And
your best friend is LDS, right?
Yeah.
Is it that friend? Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah. So, and we've known each other since we were like 13, like for a long time. So
That's awesome. Well, it definitely, I think your upbringing and your strength. I think like your mom was a great mom and did all of those things, but you also just, your soul just exudes strength, and you've really used that to become successful. I feel like as a massage therapist, when I first started going to you, I was like, it's kind of nice actually knowing that you can't see all the details of my naked body, you know?
Right. Kind of make people a little more comfortable. That's fair.
Yeah. And then also, I really do feel like your senses are heightened somehow. Like even just like the energy that you can pour into people and the energy that you can take. I don't know. Like I just feel like you definitely have more of the touch, maybe because you can't see, you know, as well.
I tell people all the time that I have been seeing with my hands my whole life. So this is the perfect job for me, right? Like,
seriously.
So I agree.
Yeah.
And that's where God comes into it too, right? Like I really feel like people have said before, and I never really thought into this that much until I started saying, like, I think you have healing hands. I think that God is helping you to heal my body and all of this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I think subconsciously that definitely is happening, right? Like I don't, and I've learned to not use my own energy, right? Like I used to kind of pour all of my energy into my people, and I've learned to ask God to give me his instead. And it's kind of funny that works that way, but it's just kind of a subconscious thing. And I'm just like, nope, I can't give them mine. It's mine. I need to have it for me. So to use that spiritual energy is really helpful too.
That's
amazing. That is beautiful.
Thanks.
You're so good at focusing on people, like really wanting to know them and getting to know them and not being afraid to ask questions. You know a lot about our church already, and it's because you have people that you massage or friends or whatever, and you're not afraid to ask. And also you're not afraid of something that's different, you know, and I feel like you really love and respect people for who they are, and you're not concerned about what they believe. I have a friend that I went to a function with, and I didn't realize that everyone there was going to be LDS. And it was a big group of women. It was like 20 women or something. And when we got there, she was quite uncomfortable because there were so many things that we do as members of the LDS Church that we just don't even realize that happen because of tradition or culture or whatever, and that are just kind of ingrained in us. And a lot of it is assumption. Like a lot of people assume she also has very just a special spirit. And I think if people can feel of someone else's spirit or soul, they assume if you're a good person, you know, you're LDS, whatever. And she is that very much so. And so people assumed she was LDS. And I realized because I had her perspective in my mind and I could tell what she was thinking. I know her pretty well as well. And she would say little things to me that I'm like, oh my gosh, we do so many really weird things that I just had no idea about.
Well, they're not weird to you. You do them all the time, right?
True.
But like that we assume other people do and they don't, or just that we're just kind of naive about, but also that we assume so much. You know, I also assumed that because she's lived in Utah her whole life, that she would know all of these things, you know? So I'd be like, oh, in my ward and my stake. And she was like, what's that? I don't know what either of those are.
Right. Not everybody is as curious as I am.
Yeah. So Ashley reminded me, what did you say? I had told you this story and there was something about wards.
Oh, I just said it. Now I can see, like, that sounds like a psych ward. Like if I just heard the term ward,
that's right.
You know, like I don't know, after doing all these interviews and hearing the word congregation or service, like those, I don't know, it's changed the way I look at that. Like, why do we call
ward?
It
What?
Yeah.
Or like a steak, you think of like a steak, right?
Yeah.
Or like a vampire's heart.
Yeah, you're like, I thought it was
reputation of having horns in other states, right?
Right. And I know not everybody knows these things, but living in Utah, I think we automatically assumed that everybody else would know because
they would just kind of
we're
pick
the
it up
dominant
in
faith. Yeah. So, but they don't always,
Right.
you know,
No.
and I think I respect that as well. I think it was more of a lesson for me to not be so naive,
Yep.
to think that everybody knows everything about us because we think we're so special, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
We even, this just reminded me of a story too. We interviewed a pastor from a Christian faith, and we were talking about communion, and we said, like, what is your sacrament like? And he kept telling us about their version of sacrament, and I realized, oh, I mean communion.
Mm-hmm.
But to him, sacrament encompasses like baptism and communion and other things, you know?
Oh,
So I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from each other, you know, for sure. And like just little things that don't matter even, but that are interesting, you know? It's just interesting.
Well,
so
and it makes
my
it not
question
so
to you,
scary too, right?
Yeah.
Like the more you know, I feel like the less afraid of whatever it is you are, because you're like, oh, I get it. This is why they do it. It's not weird. Like it just is what it is. So anyway, go ahead with that question.
Yeah, no, totally. So my question, like all that build up to ask you, what is it that strikes you as unusual about us as LDS members, or that's just different?
I'm gonna have to think about that one, because the truth is, like, I've grown up around it, and like even family members, some like cousins, or like my grandma on my dad's side was sort of LDS, and my sister was, and so like it's not really that shocking to me. I think I think what struck me, I was in high school, and I went to your guys' church with a friend, and we were where people were actually giving their testimonials. And what surprised me was that they kind of just seemed like they were reading a script. And I thought, if you're not like, and maybe they were just uncomfortable to speak in public, but person after person, it was kind of like they were reading from scripts. And I was like, if you don't really believe this in your heart, why are you up here testifying that you do? It just seemed like it was a little bit ingenuine to me. And I thought that was really interesting, because I'd never seen anything. And I had been to a couple of different churches, like I had been to a Baptist church and of course my church, but I hadn't had a lot of experience. But I thought it was really interesting that there was this ingenuine, like, testimonial, like one after another going on. And I thought, that is so shocking to me, that so many people are just saying something that you really don't feel like they even believe it. I just thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Ash, did you have something to say?
So one of the churches we visited at the beginning of this podcast was the Courageous Church, which is a non-denominational Christian church. And something that stuck out to me was the pastor he just briefly mentioned, like, I know some of you have financial struggles, and I can't even remember why this hit me in that moment, but I thought, man, we really don't talk about, I mean, in the Mormon church, we don't talk about struggles very often, because I do think that people, and I hope this is changing, and I think it is slowly, but I think people have a mask on when they go to church. And
you want to save face, right? You want to.
Yes. And and every now and then, and this is why I love Relief Society, when specifically the Relief Societies, when you can feel the masks coming down and people start sharing their deep feelings or struggles, because I really do think that's where we bond, and that's where we can relate to each other. And so that's so interesting. And I can totally picture what you mean. It's like, and especially growing up, for some reason, I feel like testimonies have gotten more individual now than they used to be, but I can almost hear it in my brain, the like, I believe in Joseph Smith as the one true prophet, and I believe da-da-da. It's like it's very scripted sounding.
Yeah. And like I said, they could have all just been nervous. It was mostly young people that were up there. It could have been, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I just thought, wow, it seems like nobody even wants to be here. Why are they here? You know? And I wonder why that is. And I think some of it comes from, like, from a youth perspective, you're going to church because your parents tell you to. You may or may not really believe it, but you don't even know yet. You're so young, you don't know yourself. So now you're just doing what you think you're supposed to do. And maybe that's really what it was. Not that they didn't believe or that it wasn't genuine, but just that they're just doing what they're told because that's what they're supposed to do. And maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very prominent, especially in the youth. And And I think that's something that LDS people have struggled with in the past, myself included, is being genuine. Like, I think sometimes I talk to people that are not LDS and I'm like, oh, I feel like we're so nice. We are nice generally. We're bred to be nice. We're taught to be nice, you know?
Yeah.
And so we definitely are. And I think a lot of times it is genuine, but sometimes it does come across as not genuine because there's like an expectation to be met, you know? And so we are kind of trained to like say the words, and like you get up there and you say, I believe, I know the church is true, and I know the prophet is the, you know, prophet of God. And like we say, and I think nowadays we're trying to kind of like really look at ourselves and look inward and be like, wait, what do I actually know? Because to say you know something is a very big claim, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, and that is something that we train kind of our kids to do. Like, just go up there and say, I know the church is true. Like, we'll kind of prompt them with it, you know? And so they grow up thinking that, and kind of being, it's kind of a written thing every time. And then they add something personal at the end. I think our prayers can be that too. And in church, often we talk about that. Like, let's not just say the same thing over and over again. You know, let's actually pray with our heart and sincerity and all of that. So it's definitely acknowledged. And, but the I know thing is kind of a more nuanced idea. I feel like only kind of recently where we're kind of, people that want to kind of see outside of the box are starting to be like, wait, what do I know? What do I hope for? I always think, do I actually know? Do I just hope for it? Do I believe it?
Right.
Do I have faith in it? Or do I just think maybe?
Right. Oh,
you know?
That's good. Yeah.
And so I try really hard, like when I'm sharing a testimony in any way, whether it's teaching in church or bearing a testimony, I try really hard to reflect on, wait, what do I actually know? Because that's such a big claim. And usually it's just, I know that God is there. I don't know. Sometimes it changes. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to
Right.
I don't know what I know right this second. But I love that you said that, because I think that's something we can really work on, is being genuine. And a lot of times, like, we went to the South recently and we were like, gosh, these people are so nice, but it's a different kind of nice than the people in Utah. You know, like it's just so genuine and real and not just what you're supposed to say, you know?
Right.
So
It kind of is like they have their heart in it, right? Like and I've never really spent any time in the South, so I can't talk, but I've met people and I know people who are genuinely kind, and you can tell that they're kind just because what they say, they mean what they say. It's like somehow you feel it, right? You feel the genuine love for people, right?
yes, totally. And of course there's judgmental people everywhere, and there's people that are not genuine, and you know, I don't mean to say it's only us or it's only Utah but that is just something I think in our past that we're now working on, I think. So
you keep
are you
going.
okay? What can we do differently as members of our church to help people outside of our church here in Utah, or anywhere actually for that matter? What do you think that would make us appear more genuine? And also, what can we do differently just in general?
I mean, I think if you want to appear more genuine, there needs to be a more genuine approach to whatever you're doing. If you're helping in the community, or if you're, just having a discussion with somebody, I think being in the moment and being in the conversation, and just being truly just genuine, I think that will come across, and I think people will respond to that kind of feeling that comes from you and just being genuine. And I'm not saying that anybody like here is ingenuine. But I think just make sure, like, if you don't just say something for lip service, right? Like, don't just say, oh, have a nice day. Say, oh, I really hope you have a nice day. Like, if you're going to say it, right? And be that. And I think too, something that I don't know if I really want to bring this up or not, but I'm kind of like, something that I do see a lot is like people who, and I'm sure this happens everywhere, in every religion, in every place, in each family, but I see a lot of people who pretend to be really, really good people, really good LDS people, who really kind of aren't. They're judgmental and they're mean and they're they don't take care of themselves. They don't take care of their yards. They don't take care of their neighbors. They don't take care of anybody or do much for anybody, but they are better than you and they look down their nose. And I'm sure we've all met those kind of people. And again, it's not restricted to LDS. Like, these people are all over. But I think, I don't know how to change that. You know what I mean? But I'm like, that's something that I'm like, man, you think you're better than me, but you are kind of a crappy person. Like, that really sucks. And how can we change that? I don't know. How can we change that in the world, right? Like, I think it's just taking accountability and looking inward at yourself and saying, hey, am I living my best life? Am I doing what I need to be doing before I judge this person for not doing something that they should have done or doing something that they shouldn't? What am I doing? Like, maybe just looking inward to ourselves. And I think every person on this planet would benefit from that, and just kind of taking some accountability and saying, I really need to look at myself and what I need to change before I can start judging others. And just remembering that it's not our place to judge, right? Like, we have no place to judge because we don't understand their circumstances. The only one that can is God, right? So I would say
Yes.
that, like, right, all of us, like, let's just take a look inside.
That is so, yes. And you really like radiate that kind of love. Like, I was telling my mom this morning about our neighborhood. We also just moved. And I said, we've had so many neighbors come up to us and be so kind. And it sounds very silly and like an obvious thing, but I just told her kindness really is contagious. Like, I now, with neighbors that I haven't met, I'm like over the top waving at them, smiling. Some of them look at me like, should I know you? You're waving at me like I should. But it's because, like, those people who have shown so much kindness to me, now I want to spread that out. And I don't know. So I love that answer so much, because I think you totally nailed it when you said, like, it's got to start with us and us being kind, because then the kindness just radiates, and it really is. It's contagious.
Yeah. I really feel like that. Like, if you're standing in line with somebody at the grocery store, why not just like, man, this line is long. You know what I mean? We both can connect on that one.
Yes.
But I'm the kind of person, like, when we moved into our neighborhood about 9 years ago or so, I'm the kind of person that goes and introduces myself. Like, I was knocking on neighbors' doors.
That's
amazing. We just moved in. Like, I see that you have children. I also have children.
That's awesome.
So I just want to, like, I'm that kind of person that's just like, all right, I'm going to go meet my neighbors. Like, Halloween, great opportunity to meet your neighbors.
Yeah, that's true.
That's so great. I love that.
I know. We have some new neighbors next door that I keep like, we need to go over there. I'm just not like a big like cookie baker or baker in general. So
no, I totally
I'm just waiting for that day when I decide I want to.
Yeah.
Or one of my kids. My kids can do it.
It doesn't even have to be like cookies or chocolate or whatever. You can just buy them at a little $5 sign that says something about, like, in this kitchen there is love, or something stupid like that, right? Like, it could just be like a housewarming gift of some kind that they could put on their shelf.
That's a good idea.
That's so cute. That is a great idea.
Maybe I should give them a plant. I do like plants.
There you go.
That'd be good.
I would love to get a plant from my
and
neighbors.
Just tell them, this is our neighbor fern. When you don't let it die, because if you let it die, our relationship will be done.
Yes. I love it. It's such a great icebreaker.
Yes. Don't let this die.
The love fern. I love that reference so much. Oh my gosh.
So
if you know, you know. That is the best.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my
I'm doing it. I'm doing
Can't help it.
Yes.
So cute.
You're gonna have to record that, okay?
See? For the
Watch
bloopers.
them slam the door in the face.
Oh,
guys, freak.
Oh, I see. You mean her record it? Yes. Oh, I love it so much.
Oh, record the actual giving of it? Yes.
Yep.
I'll put it in here. Yeah. Yep. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Good.
That's funny.
So funny. You are so successful in your career and your life. Like, you're moving your whole family, and you're very on top of planning, and you're very good at just getting things done. And you provide for your family, and
sorry, I'm laughing because I'm the biggest procrastinator. Okay, go ahead.
But I just feel like you're very successful at life. In the face of challenges. Like, to me, I see you and I'm like, her only challenge is that she can't drive. But I know that there are, and you've expressed some challenges to me outside of your vision as well. But in the face of that, I mean, vision is a big thing. Like that's a huge thing. And you grew up with it. So I think you've, adapted so well.
Absolutely.
But just in general, in the face of challenges and things like that, tell us your secret to success.
I mean, I said it earlier and I really, really mean it. I have to be this positive. I have to get everything that I can out of this life. I don't know if it's like anything to do with my vision or not. I mean, in my mind, I'm just like, I get bored and I want to do something different and I want to move forward and I want to find new ways of doing things and I just want to know things about people. And I just have this like drive inside of me that just pushes me forward. And I'm not happy if I'm not moving forward in some way. And I don't know. I mean, like, you could psychoanalyze that all day, right? But I think that I just can't give up. Like I've never been able to give up. Like, and maybe that stems from having poor vision or having to overcome a lot in my youth and throughout my life. But I just can't give up. Like I just am like, you know what, I just push through and just push forward because I feel like there's no other choice. Like what's the other choice? Like once we get on the other side of this hill, it's not going to look so big, right? Like I just kind of keep pushing forward and keep driving forward and try to stay positive, but also have those moments and give myself those moments where I completely break down, right? Like completely lose it and just am a sobbing mess. And then I pick myself up and I move forward again. Like I guess maybe I don't know any other way.
Yeah. You also, and you don't have to answer this. I just thought of this. I wasn't planning on asking you this. And you can totally just say, no, I'd rather not. I totally respect that. But you also have been really good at keeping yourself in check with certain habits that you didn't want to keep. Like you were vaping recently. Yeah. And you just completely quit cold turkey. Like you told me, I'm kind of easing into it and I'm quitting on this day. And then you just did it. Like that was your goal and you just did it and you cut cold turkey and then you moved on. And I don't think you've gone back since, right?
It's been over a year. It was a year on March 24th.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
But I will say with that, I still have a lot of bad habits. And that was my fourth time quitting. So
okay.
It's not the first time. I didn't do it the first time. I did it for maybe, I don't know, a year or so the first time. And then the second time it was like, I don't know. Anyway, so I've been back and forth with it. It's been over a year this time. You always fight it, right? Like just the other day, I was like, man, if I could just smoke right now. But then I tell myself, just pretty much shut up, stupid. You didn't like how you felt when you were doing it. But I mean, like I still do use like a nicotine supplement and stuff, so it is what it is. But I'm just like, I think that we just have to do the best we can. Like if my goal for today is to not use these little nicotine supplements as many times, then I'm going to try and hit that goal. And if I don't, I just kind of tell myself, you know what, you can try it again tomorrow or whatever. Like I feel like for me, it did work to set a date and to say, okay, my lungs are feeling a little bit heavy. I'm going to set a date. By this day, I'm going to be done and I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get there, right? So I think it's just holding myself accountable and following through with those things, which there's a lot of things that I don't follow through with, but those little things that I do, like, oh, I want to drink 60 ounces of water today or whatever. And if I do, then I just like, okay, good. You did good with that. Hey, you didn't do good with these other things. Well, too bad. You just kind of have to forgive yourself for all those things that you didn't do and just say, dude, I did my best. I did the best I could today. And I think that viewpoint has really helped me in the last like 8 months. I've tried to turn that around and just be like, stop beating yourself up for that. Just try and do better tomorrow. So, and I think like in the sports communities, there's tons of that, right? Like just be like in the Utes, there was the 22% better thing. Be 22% better today than you were yesterday. And that kind of inspired me. I was kind of like, you know what, if I can even be 1% better today than I was yesterday, then I'm improving. And and if you don't go backwards, if you just kind of keep trying to step forward instead of moving backwards and living in the past and letting your demons take you and do what they will with you, I think you can kind of pull yourself through. But I have a pretty easy life though, honestly too. I don't deal with many struggles. to be honest. So I think that helps too. Like, talk to me in a few months, right? And we'll see
Yeah.
when I'm not living in such a cush environment. I think that that really helps to be positive when you've had good things your whole life and good things have come to you your whole life. It's really easy to be positive. So that kind of has helped me too throughout everything.
I do want to preface that whole thing by saying, like, people with addiction or with just things that they want to quit doing, you know, or change habits they want to change or whatever. I think different things work for different people. And so just because that works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone, but it is commendable. And I've seen that in you and seen you have, you know, that ability to, what's the word? Oh my gosh.
Kind of kick a bad habit.
To kick a bad habit and
overcome.
Yeah. There's a different word. It's annoying me, but it's fine.
We tend to forget words while we're on here.
That's okay.
And then we'll text each other later. This was the word.
Yeah. Oh, it's
we'll of course cut all that.
Self-driven or no, sorry. It's just going to bug me now. Okay. That's all.
She'll text me later about what it was.
I'll text you too, Kristy.
Fair enough. This was the word that I wanted to say.
This was it. Yes. Yeah. Honestly, too, I've never heard that 1% or 22%, but that is so huge because it almost too reminds me of like when you set New Year's resolutions and people say like, they never, like, I can't even remember the statistic, but like you never follow through with them because it's like right. And it's like, I'm going to go to the gym.
We're drunk on the 31st of December and then we try the next day, but we're still hungover. It's just how it goes.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. It's kind of the worst timing too. I'm like, let's set our resolutions like in spring. Like, why are we doing it in the middle of winter when it's really depressing?
I know, huh?
Yeah. Yes, but I do think about that. Like, it's because people try to go like from 0 to 60. Like,
you try and change your whole life in one day. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I love that though. Like, just 1% at a time. And if you're steady, there's a quote that I love that says, and it's a religious quote, and it's saying like those who follow Jesus, like whether you're following in a straight line and you're upright, or if you're following and you're drunken and you're tripping and falling, but as long as you're still heading in the same direction, you're still going to get to the same place. And anyway, I probably butchered that quote, but I always loved that quote because it just shows like it doesn't matter how fast we get there. We're still headed the same direction. So yeah, I'm so glad you shared that.
Yep. Yeah, we're all going to die someday, right? You may as well enjoy your life and do everything you can with it while you're here.
Yes.
And I think finding joy in little things too. Like even just like sitting on the couch with your family and your kids are on their tablet and you just look up and go, oh, I love my family. Like I try really hard to look for those little moments too. Just little tiny things. Like just remember how blessed I am and how happy I am.
Beautiful.
Now you guys are going to go home and look at your kids and go, oh,
I
they
know.
really are precious, the little stinkers.
It's the best. I know. I always like looking at them when they're sleeping. Also, it's kind of nice because I'm like, you can't talk back now. You're so precious.
And then they wake up. And you're like, go back to sleep.
Then they wake up.
They're like, why are you looking at me, Mom? My kids have got me looking at them before. They're like, Mom, what? And I'm like, you're just beautiful. I can't help it.
That's
They're
so
like,
precious.
oh my gosh, Mom.
It's a mom's job. It's our job.
That's right.
Man.
And the word was self-control.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Let it be known. Doesn't matter anymore, but let it be known.
I know. I just have to say it. I wrote it down.
She caught it.
For this last fun question, we like to just keep it light, and you can either share an embarrassing moment with us, or you can tell us about your band and what it meant to you. Emmy mentioned that you were in a band, which is so cool. I love music. I love live music, and it's like one of the ways I connect spiritually. So we'd love to hear about that. But you don't have to do the embarrassing moment. If you want to, you can.
You can do both.
Right.
It doesn't have to be or. It can be and.
That's funny. I'm like, I was just thinking, I'd probably do both because, I just talk.
Yay.
Yay.
I mean, the band, I was in the band for 7 years. Our name was Never Before. And I was a lead singer. We got to play with like several pretty big acts like Edema and Drowning Pool and Nonpoint, Hailstorm and Adelita's Way. In this moment, we just got to play with a whole bunch of Mushroom Head. We just got to play with a bunch of different bands. It was really fun.
Wow,
Cool.
that is so cool.
And we just did
Tell
lots
our-
and lots of local shows, and we got to record like 4 songs in LA, and then we got to go back to LA and play at the Whiskey A Go Go for like an all girls night. Like it was just any girls, like bands that had girls in them, and that was really cool. Sorry, go ahead, Emily. Oh, we made a music video. That was fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna look that up. That's
So
amazing.
cool. Yeah, that's all I was gonna say is tell our listeners how they can find your music video. And are you on like Apple or
Our
your
music
songs?
is on all major streaming sites. It's just the band name is Never Before, and there's like 3 albums on there. One of them I'm actually not on. It's the singer that followed me in the band. So 2 of them I am, though. It's kind of cool. And then if
Wow.
you want to find my music video, you can go to YouTube and type in Never Before Alone, just how it sounds. No, I'll like just 3 words. And it'll come up. But it's kind of funny. Like just like I'm embarrassed. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have talked about this. Now I'm embarrassed. There's my embarrassing moment.
Oh,
No, I love it. It's
That is not
amazing.
embarrassing. That's amazing.
And
I
it's
mean,
so
thanks.
good. You're
Oh,
an
I'm
incredible
excited.
singer.
It was a lot of fun. I feel like it's a whole other life. Like I feel like this is my second life, or maybe my third, right? Within this lifetime. Everything is so different than it was, right? So kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, and we'll link that in our show notes too.
It's like I said, totally different lifetime. So long ago to me, it's like, oh my gosh, that was a long time ago. But it's okay. It was really fun. So, embarrassing moments. Okay, there's a really good one. So the other day, well, maybe like a month or so ago, there was some new people who moved into the room next door to me, and the girl like was putting something like she was looking at something and she was facing opposite me, so I saw her from behind, and I thought that it was the girl who was in that room before, and I went, oh my gosh, you're back, like, hey, and I like went and hugged her, and as I was hugging her, I realized it was not that person, right? I'm like, oh, the vision strikes again.
Oh my
And I totally played
gosh.
it off like I totally like was like, oh, I'm just a hugger, I'm just really friendly, and her friend standing right there going, I thought you knew her, and I said, oh, do you want one too? And like it was so dumb.
That's awesome that you played it off. I love
But
that.
it seriously is like,
funny.
I either play this off like this is just who I am, or I totally just confess that I am blind and I can't see her, and I just chose the other one.
That makes the story even better, to be honest.
I'm like, that made it more awkward, but hey, what do you do?
I love it. I love it.
And
She
now I
probably
feel like
needed
Just a
it.
hugger.
I feel like they would always be
Yes.
like, oh, hey, how's it going in the hall, right? Like, oh gosh, don't hug me again.
You're like, here she
I
comes
don't
again.
really
She's
feel
gonna
it.
hug us.
Oh my gosh. Maybe you were just inspired. Maybe she
Oh,
really
no.
needed it that
She
day.
might have.
Oh my gosh, that is too
That
funny.
is
Reminds me
so
of like when you're a kid and
funny.
you like go and grab someone's hand and it's not your
It's
mom.
not your mom.
You're like,
You're like,
oh
whoa, stranger danger.
yeah.
I've never actually like gone up and hugged someone, but I'm always afraid, especially with my husband, because he looks like a lot of other men from behind, that I'm gonna like grab his butt or smack his butt or like
Like,
grab
is
his
that- was that
arm or
really
his
him?
hand or yeah.
Yep. This tells
It
us it could have
happens-
been worse.
Yeah, it happens with my brother all the time because they look
That's
exactly
funny.
the same from behind.
Uh-huh.
So I often am like, "Hey, Todd, not Todd. That's Jake."
That's funny.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't know
You're
that,
like-
Emmy.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have to like take
All the time.
a picture of it and be like, "Look, can you tell who is who?"
Yeah, seriously, it really. And they wear the
That's so
same
funny.
clothes
Oh my gosh.
95% of the time.
Most
Like
of the time.
just by chance, they
Yeah.
like the same colors.
Uh-huh.
They like the same type of outfit. So many times we'll go to family parties and they both have on a blue t-shirt that's exactly the same brand and everything and tan khaki shorts or something.
Oh, that's funny.
They are
Yes.
like twins.
We
It's
always
so
make fun of them
funny.
like, oh, you guys coordinated. So cute.
That's hilarious.
Well,
I
You gotta
also-
listen for the voice. Like when you hear the voice, then you know. Like that's
Yes.
always my cue. Like if I'm not sure, I listen for the voice.
Yes.
Smart.
And there are
Yes.
definitely indicators, but I just like often will be like, oh, that's not him, you know?
Yep.
But we just went on a cruise with our whole family and I was waiting for everybody to come to this certain room. And so I'm watching the elevator so closely and the elevator opened and this lady that looked just like my mom was in the elevator and I was like, hey, and I'm like like waving so vigorously and like vocalizing like, hey, I'm over here. And she's like, okay.
Oh my God.
So I feel like I
Ladies
do
look at you
that
like, what?
a lot. I feel like I've done that
Oh,
many
that's
times.
so
Don't
I
you
think we
hate
need to
that?
have that.
Like,
I think it comes with confidence sometimes, right? Like, we know what we're doing. Oh, just kidding. We really don't.
nope, I don't. Or
Right.
or someone looks like they're waving at you, and it's someone
Mhm.
behind you, and you're like, hey, oh.
Well, I'm the person that can't see the wave, so like somebody will wave at me, hey, and I'm just
Oh,
like, see ya. Like, I don't even see it. I honestly don't. It happens all the
yes.
time. I
Yeah.
always tell people when I first meet them, if I'm going to get to know them at all, I'm like, if you say hi to me, you need to either say hi or like come and hug me or touch me or let me know, because I cannot see you waving to me. So you have to. And it was so
Yes.
cute. Like the football moms, they would all be like, Kristy, and like yelling, and they'd come up and hug me because they knew. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that you do that, so I know where you are.
Oh,
That's
I love
awesome.
that. That's
Yeah.
even better too, because it's more personal.
hmm
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you're legally blind,
Uh-huh.
but you can see a little bit. So what's your percentage of
I can see
or
nothing out of my right eye. Like it's just I can tell if it's light or dark, but not where the light's coming from. I can't see shadows, nothing. My left eye, I have no peripheral vision, so anything that's going on to the side of me, again, I can't see. So my field of vision is narrow. It's like from here to here. It's not like a pinprick narrow, luckily, but I can't see well. Like what my vision is like 2200, which kind of means if someone with 20/20 vision were to stand 200 feet away from something, for me to see it with the same clarity that they did, I would have to be 20 feet away from it. So it's quite a discrepancy.
Wow.
And my eyes move back and forth and up and down constantly to take in as much information as they possibly can. So they're just constantly moving. That's something that I can't control. My brain just does that lovely thing for me. So, and the right eye,
Wow.
for some reason, has always like turned in toward the nose. I had a surgery to pull it out a little bit, but it just doesn't fix it entirely. So I'm always like, I'm just gonna cover that, like, because it just tips people off, and then they start like, it's like they're so curious, so they want to know. And sometimes I'm like, okay, but I want to talk to you about this instead first, right? Like I'll be happy once we know each other, like have introduced each other. But when people come to me and say like, oh, did you forget your glasses or whatever? I'm like, I don't think people realize how rude that is. Like,
That's
Yeah.
you're
rude.
pointing out that I
What?
can't see as well as you. Like that kind of sucks. But they really are just like, oh, hey, they're trying to be helpful, or they're trying to like open a conversation. They just don't know how to, I think, so it's
Yeah.
just like, oh no. And then I tell them I'm blind, and then they apologize or like say, oh, I'm so sorry, that's so hard for you. And I'm like, oh, people.
You're like, wrong.
Like, don't have
Yeah.
pity on me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
right.
doing just fine. How are you today?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, man.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
interesting.
And like we mentioned before, it's such a small part of who you are. Like you are such an amazing person with a big personality, and it sucks that you have to be defined by that from some people right away.
Mhm.
And I totally understand like how you would feel, or I mean, I don't understand it, but I could totally see how it shuts down the natural conversation and the natural connection that could be made.
Right. And I'm sure that there's a certain amount of trauma in there because suddenly I'm the blind girl again. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
and I just, it is what it is, though. I know that people, when they say things like that, they don't mean anything by it. They're not trying to be rude or hurtful or anything like that. So I try to just take it with a grain of salt and just go and just kind of educate them, instead of getting
Yeah.
angry or upset with them, just kind of educate them and say, oh no, I really am blind. Like, maybe don't say that next time, but
Yeah.
people are people, and
That's
they're just
good.
doing the best they can with their day too. So
Yeah, some people just don't know what to say, and yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
You
You
give a lot
mentioned-
of grace, though. Yeah.
Yes, you're a good person for that, like helping educate people. You're very soft in a direct kind of way, and that's unusual and unique is a better word. You mentioned that your mom tried to learn Braille or did learn Braille and like used a cane for a while. Have you ever used a cane and read Braille? Do you read Braille?
I was taught all of that when I was a kid. Like we had, there was classes, like they would pull me out of my regular class to go on mobility trips where we learned how to use a cane and how to use the bus systems and all those things. And then also like taught me Braille and all of that stuff. And can I remember it now? Not very much of it, but I know how to use a cane if I need one. I do have one if I ever need one, like high traffic situations where I would be alone. It's a really good idea to have a cane because I don't always see everything, and it makes people a little more aware around me, and just kind of helps people to take notice instead of just blowing through that crosswalk or whatever, So I haven't used it in years and years and years because it makes me different. It makes me stand out. It points me out as other, right? And it's just like, I don't like that. So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. That is very you. I can see that.
Yeah. I'm like, don't look at me like that. Like, look at me because of my personality, not because of my vision.
Right. And it sounds like you are so capable, and so like you don't need it right now. And and that's very interesting though that you said it points out that for others to drive more carefully around you. That's actually, I had never thought about that until now. Like,
right. Well, if you see somebody in a wheelchair or see somebody with a cane or something like that, you're probably going to see that, whether, and go, oh, I probably should be more hesitant because you don't know what this person's capable of.
Right.
Yeah. That's interesting. And phones probably help. I remember I worked with a girl that was legally blind, but she could see a tiny bit, I think less than you. And we were working, it was for JetBlue. It was when I was training to work for JetBlue as a reservationist, and I worked from home. But while we were training, she sat next to me, and she had a computer that would blow things up huge, and it was so cool. It was so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I've noticed you do that with your phone, like hold it up really close to your eye and kind of zoom in. So that probably is helpful to not have to use Braille and things like that, because you can zoom in on most things.
Yep.
Do you feel that way?
Oh, definitely. Like the features that they add to the phones are really helpful for sure. And you can do it with any of them, right? I'm like, oh, this is so nice. So definitely it helps. But even when I was in school and I had the chance to have like books in Braille, I didn't want them in Braille because again, it makes me other. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
and there's Audible
to slow you down, or
Yeah, and there's audiobooks now.
I would have like huge papers instead of doing the Braille. I chose to have like these gigantic papers that I would hold right up to my face. Like that didn't make me different at all, right?
But it's on your terms,
Right?
You chose
what I
it.
wanted. Okay, I did.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
And
back then too, like when I worked with that girl, smartphones weren't a thing, you know? So it was just her computer. Like that's all that.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. They also have other programs like I don't know, and I think they still do have a version of it. It was called JAWS, and it would like speak everything on the computer. You go down your menu, and it would speak each time you press the down arrow, it would tell you what the next one was or whatever. Like it would speak everything to you if you couldn't see it all. I had some friends that used that on a regular basis.
So interesting.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you want to say before we end?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything pretty well. And thanks for letting me kind of get pretty real, right? Like I'm like, I hope I didn't get too real. I don't want to offend anybody or upset anybody.
No.
I'm just like, oh man, but I appreciate like an opportunity to talk about those like maybe not so flattering things about humanity, right? So, and just kind of let everybody see. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, that we pulled it out of you, I feel like.
Right.
Because we wanted it to be raw and real, and you're such a respectful, kind person. You're just the person to do that. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, well, thank you. This really was fun.
Thank you for listening to That's Church. As always, that was such a meaningful conversation with Kristy Lawson. We loved hearing her experiences growing up Lutheran in Utah and how being outside of the domain faith shaped her understanding of community and belonging. Kristy is such an example of resilience, humor, and strength, and we're so grateful she shared her story with us. Don't forget, our Divine Feminine and Women Empowerment event is happening on March 8th, 2025. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come be part of this powerful gathering by getting your tickets at tinyurl.com/empower2025. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram at That's Church Podcast for updates and upcoming episodes. See you next time.